we're going to take a look at the Scotland Premiership title race, and what a title race it is. I think it goes without question. It's the best ever, certainly the most wide open ever. If you look at the situation now, Hearts 57, Rangers 55, Celtic 54, one game in hand, of course. Even Motherwell, you might make an argument that they could yet get involved with the run that they're on at the moment. Whatever, they've certainly had a brilliant season. And having been there last week, Coisty, as I mentioned, everybody seems to be absolutely loving it. This has to be phenomenally good for the game in Scotland, doesn't it? However it turns out.
Excuse me, Jeff, yes. Absolutely no doubt about it. The drama, everything. Hearts have been the story, deservedly so. I mean, the wee boy Braga again scored another great goal against Rangers, the header. Lovely finish from him. You can argue about the defending, but take nothing away. Brilliant header. He's been a terrific signing. There's no getting away from it. They're missing a couple of players. That said, they're still the late winners against, Hibs in the 88th minute, both home games, I think. The big centre-back. Halkett got one early on this season, and they got another one in the 88th minute against their rivals. They're playing really, really well. There's no getting away from it. Celtic, with Martin, as you would expect, Jeff, without being brilliant, by the way, they're anything but brilliant, but they're a different proposition. They keep going. As I said, late winners against Dundee in the Cup. Well, a late equaliser against Dundee in the Cup to take it to extra time. And late winners in their home game against Livingston, and obviously done at Kilmarnock, 97th minute. Rangers for them, I think they've had one. It's been terrific, Jeff. It really has. I mean, Danny Rowe has got them playing exceptionally well. I think they've only had one defeat since his came, or certainly they've only 2 defeats in 27 games in the league, which is remarkable from where they were. I mean, I think they were sitting third bottom at one time when he came. So the transformation, with Rangers under Danny Rowe has been exceptional. And I'll say it again, and you mentioned them, Motherwell, under the Danish coach Askau has been absolutely tremendous. They are, without doubt, Jeff, in my opinion, playing the best football. They're easy on the eye, they're knocking it about, and they're getting results. You're right, they're definitely worth a mention. I think there'd be too much for them. I mean, at this moment in time, they're 10 points off Hearts. They're only 7 off Celtic, I think. But I can guarantee you, Jeff, they'll take points, as they've continued to do recently, off all the 3 teams above them. They might not win it, but I think they'll have a big say who wins it. The wonderful thing in it, excuse me again, and it is a wonderful thing, Jeff. We've got the break as well with the split, so that you play each other the last period of the season. Boy, is that going to be exciting, mate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, what a break. Because in the first time in a long time, you look at Livingston, are sitting 12th in the league. Very unlucky not to get a draw at Celtic Park. St Mirren have won the Cup. They're sitting 2 places above them. They won the League Cup, deservedly so, beat Celtic comfortably in the final. Kilmarnock had a bit of a revival with Neil McCann going down there. I mean, really unlucky again not to get anything. Dundee, I think I've already beaten Celtic at home. Unlucky not getting at Ibrox. Dundee United beating Celtic at home. Hibs, Falkirk, I told you, the story about Falkirk's been remarkable. So to be talking about Scottish football like this, it gives us all a real boost, and I'm just delighted. And top all that, Jeff, we've got the World Cup to look forward to as well. So we're flying, loving it.
Let's look at the top 3 in order as they stand at the moment,
Yes.
briefly, Coisty. Hearts, top of the pile at the moment. Okay, lost at the weekend. And obviously, they've had an absolutely wonderful season. There are 2 ways, I think, are looking at this. Whether their lack of experience in terms of title races might tell on them, on the run-in. But equally, and on the other hand, 4 of their next 6 games are at home, and their home record has been superb. And by the way, in the time that Hearts have got 6 games to play, Celtic have a minimum of 10.
Correct.
And I just wonder how that will play out. I mean, are Hearts still in pole position? Obviously, in terms of just simply looking at the table, they are. But in terms of
excuse me, I just look at it, Jeff, and I find it really difficult to split the three of them. And it's not a cop-out. It's how I see it, Jeff. It really, really is. Hearts, they miss, as I said, they miss Cammy Devlin, and they definitely miss Lawrence Shanklin, right? Because Shanklin, intelligent, probably maybe the best finisher in the league. Claudio Braga's come in and has done exceptionally well, but he's definitely missing Shanklin. And they've changed the way they play. Xeridis has come in and done exceptionally well. Cammy Devlin in the middle of the park's a big miss. They're really solid. I think they've got a good goalkeeper. I keep going on about the two centre-backs. The two centre-backs are solid citizens, Finlay and Halkett. They'll keep going. They will keep going. But I'm not sure, if they get any more injuries, it could really affect them. I don't think they've got the backup that perhaps Rangers and Celtic have. That's the only thing I would say. However, Derek's interview after the game was excellent, as you'd expect. It was excellent. It was nothing but positivity. There was of course there was a disappointment at losing the fixture at Ibrox yesterday, but it was nothing but positivity about his team, and they knocked it about reasonably well. They did. I mean, and you got to remember as well. Okay, they get beat, but they've gone to Ibrox and scored a couple of goals. Jeff, I think that's the first time, and the partners will tell me if I'm right or wrong, I think that's the first time in 6 games this season that Hearts have lost to either Rangers or Celtic.
Yeah. And of course, Rangers and Celtic meet on March the 1st, so somebody is going to drop points there, which also goes in Hearts' favour. From a Rangers perspective, look, Danny Rowe, wonderful job. 13 points behind Hearts when he took over, and look at where they are now. I mentioned that Motherwell game, which showed they can throw one in like that. In a lot of respects, you would say they were in pole position, but Danny Rowe has not been in this position before either. Yeah. And I would also argue that Chermiti got the hat-trick at the weekend, but before that he'd scored 4 in 28 for Rangers. He hadn't scored for Everton, and there's a suggestion that hat-trick might be a flash in the pan, and he may not be the regular goal scorer they need in weeks to come. And I know before that game, plenty of Rangers fans were thinking just that.
Oh, yeah, with some justification. I tell you what he does look at this moment in time. He looks as though he might be a big occasion player, because he scored 2 of his goals that he'd previously scored, Jeff, were at Celtic Park when Rangers went to Celtic Park and won the game comfortably. So, but I do take your point, absolutely, because I watch him myself, and some of the things I do, I'm scratching my head myself. However, I watched him yesterday, and he just looks a different level. I think he's going to be one of these guys, Jeff, and every club and every supporter's had them over the years, where they do things, particularly centre forwards, they'll do things that'll baffle you, have you scratching your head, and then the next minute they'll fire one into the top corner. He looks as though he might be one of those guys, because he scored a hat-trick yesterday, but his all-round play was a lot better as well.
Yeah,
I like the other side, centre-back Nadiri. He looks, centre forward, I beg your pardon. I thought he looked the part. I think he's going to be a good player. And a couple of the signings have been very, very good. I mean, Chuck Wani in the middle of the park, impressive. But the star of the show for me so far is the left fullback Romans, who's come in and I think looked exceptional. So I think for the first time in a long time, I think, and it is very early in the Rangers' career, of course it is, but you can only comment on what you've seen so far. The new signings look as though they're, of a better standard, let's say, than they have been recently. But Danny Rowe, he's gone about the job really well, Jeff, I've got to say, and he's been a breath of fresh air. The Rangers fans, correctly have really taken to him. He's got an influence about him. The first thing that's happened is when he came into the club, somebody's got a hold of him within the club and told him, or pointed him in the direction of how things should be handled, and what should, not so much what should be said, but what's expected, from a Rangers manager, and he's handling it at this moment in time very, very well.
Coisty, as far as Celtic are concerned, even Martin O'Neill said, you mentioned the late goals, even Martin O'Neill said it can't go on like this, you can't keep winning games.
Correct.
Like this. He said it's having a draining effect on him as well. Of course, we talked about Hearts losing Shankland. Should be back at the end of March or towards the end of March.
Yes.
Celtic have lost Engels, who's a massive player for them for 6 weeks or so. I mean, I said they can't keep doing it, but of course, famously, Manchester United did keep doing it under Sir Alex in Fergie times. So, how do you see the Celtic challenge at the moment?
Reliant on late goals, and I'm of the opinion, although you tell me Manchester United do it, you can't keep doing that. You cannot keep relying on late goals, Jeff. But that said, they have done, and they're winning games of football, which is the most important thing. Engels is a key player for them, so scored some good goals. The big miss, I don't care what anybody says, the big miss is, for me, Carter Vickers at the centre of defence, and obviously Alistair Johnson missing as well. Carter Vickers, I think, the centre half gives him a more of a calming influence. You look at the Celtic team just now, and it doesn't really scare you, to be honest with you at all, Jeff. You know, the Old Firm games will look after themselves, but I would be, if I was a Celtic supporter, I'd be obviously delighted at the late goals, but slightly concerned.
Yeah.